prior to after, obviously. But now that I understand how difficult he is to deal with, there's no one else like him. You can't prepare for him, even at
his age,
even at an elder version of him.
And shit, it was pretty cool to see. And honestly, even with the majority draw, it's a win for Manny, because damn, if he can do that off a 3-year layoff at 46, that's pretty telling, for one, where the sport of boxing is when your world champ can't beat 46-year-old politician Manny Pacquiao.
Yes, Manny, you can come out of retirement because this guy is so bad. Like, that fired him up a little bit, and then he goes in the ring and he does nothing. He goes in the ring and, like, I thought it was an embarrassing performance from a 30-year-old champion.
Fighters are genuinely scared of Manny Pacquiao's comeback because, even at 46, he still moves like he's in his prime. Former champ Shawn Porter saw Manny train and witnessed his performance against Barrios, confidently saying Pacquiao is still him. Despite his age, Manny's speed, footwork, and intensity haven't faded. Opponents fear that the legendary version of Pacquiao is still very much alive and still dangerous enough to dominate top-level fighters today.
What do you think about the overall matchup?
Everything, man. I watched him train like last week or the week before, and amazing to see him still move and bounce and do all the same things that he was doing in camp years ago when I was with him. So he's still locked in. He's still him, Crazy, but he is. You know what they say, man. The last thing to go is that power.
Chris Algieri, who once faced Pacquiao when both were in their prime, brings a unique and respected view. He says there's something special about Manny that defies age. While most fighters slow down, over time, Pacquiao remains a tough puzzle even for younger opponents. Algieri calls him one of the hardest fighters to prepare for, unpredictable, fast, explosive, and relentless. He believes age doesn't matter when it comes to Pacquiao's abilities, because Manny has a physical and mental edge that no training, camp can prepare for. To Algieri, Pacquiao's comeback isn't just real, it's dangerous for anyone who faces him.
After, obviously, but now that I understand how difficult he is to deal with, there's no one else like him. You can't prepare for him, even at
his age,
even at an elder version of him.
In his fight against Mario Barrios, Pacquiao surprised everyone by showing that his signature style was still very much alive. At 46, most expected a faded legend chasing past glory, but instead, fans witnessed sharp footwork, quick combos, and smart angles, the same traits that once made him a feared champion. What stood out most was how close the rounds were. Even the ones he didn't win were highly competitive. His timing, control of the ring, and stamina all held up impressively. While Barrios was supposed to have the upper hand because of his youth, he often found himself reacting instead of leading. Pacquiao wasn't just showing up, he was still competing at.
I think Manny's always been good at that. And my son really pointed it out perfectly. He was still good at it. He was still good at it. I think he was stealing some rounds at the end. Whether he deserved them or he didn't deserve them, whatever. They were close rounds. He might have stole them on the judges' cards. What we shouldn't forget is he's a special guy, and he put a special performance. I never saw calves on the legs of somebody that big. I mean, it's incredible. I thought early on he stumbled a little bit. I thought his legs were stumbling a little bit, like you might see in a 46-year-old, a little bit. But at the end, they got the act together. He used them pretty good. He used them pretty damn good. What I think he also did was maybe a little bit of, I think the word illusion is too powerful, but I'd say a little misleading, where he threw those real fast punches like my son said. They weren't quality punches like they used to be, where there was real impact and real power at the end of them. They were more like just quick punches. And they weren't all being impactful. They weren't all landing clean. Some did, but they weren't all landing clean. And they definitely weren't landing with real power. They really weren't.
Social media star and fighter Salt Pappy shared a bold opinion about a possible rematch between Floyd Mayweather and Manny Pacquiao. He believes Manny's current form proves he's still sharp, well-conditioned, and mentally locked in. In contrast, Mayweather has been out of real competition for years. According to Salt Pappy, if they faced off again, the result would be nothing like their 2015 fight. This time, Pacquiao's rhythm, activity, and hunger would overwhelm Mayweather's aging reflexes, while Floyd has stayed undefeated through exhibitions. Saul Pappy says Pacquiao.
Have you spoken to Manny recently? I know you're friends with him.
No, I haven't spoken to him, no.
What would you want to see him do next?
Fight Floyd Mayweather or Gervonta Tank.
You think he beats Tank, near prime Tank Davis?
We'll see. Styles make fights, so we just don't know.
What about Mayweather versus Pacquiao too?
Yeah, that'll be a good fight. Yeah, Manny is still active. So.
Okay.
Pacquiao's performance against Barrios was a powerful reminder of why he's considered a once-in-a-generation talent. Every time Barrios tried to step in, Manny fired back with 2 or 3 lightning-fast punches. His energy, output, and footwork completely outshined Barrios' cautious, reactive approach. What really stunned fans and critics was how young Pacquiao still looked in the ring. Constantly moving, cutting angles, and creating chances, many questioned the official result, noting that Pacquiao's aggression and high volume clearly outmatched Barrios' limited counter shots. It wasn't just that Pacquiao looked good for his age, he looked like he still...
That's not what happened. Barrios was so tentative in this fight. He was essentially standing there for some of the exchanges. Manny Pacquiao came out and did what Manny Pacquiao does. By the way, credit to Manny. At 46, he still had some feet. He was moving, dancing on Mario Barrios. He was throwing combination punches going forward on Mario Barrios. And when he wasn't doing that, he was countering Mario Barrios, who looked like a stick in the mud. He looked like he couldn't even get out of first gear because Manny was hitting with combinations. Were they hurting super bad? Maybe not. Some of them definitely were. Had a mouse under the eye of Mario Barrios, but others were just flurries, and they were keeping Barrios at bay. And when Barrios was throwing 1, Pacquiao was throwing 3. When Barrios would throw out his jab, Manny would counter with his lead right hand, stepping on the inside plane, doing all the old Manny shit. It was pretty cool to see. And honestly, even with the majority draw, it's a win for Manny because, damn, if he can do that off a 3-year layoff at 46, that's pretty telling for one, where the sport of boxing is when your world champ can't beat 46-year-old politician Manny Pacquiao. But 2, just how great he was. 8-division world champion, started his career at 106, I think, comes up to 147. What are we talking about?
Skeptics wonder if Manny's comeback is driven more by money than by passion. They argue that with his legendary status a Hall of Fame world champion in 8 divisions and a global icon, he has nothing left to prove and could easily stay retired. Yet, his decision to return leaves many puzzled. Critics claim that at his age, the physical toll of boxing is too high and the risks outweigh any rewards. They believe that no amount of pride or legacy can justify stepping back into the ring unless there's a big payday involved.
Manny Pacquiao crazy for coming back and fighting is because they don't understand what's going on in Manny Pacquiao's life. When a fighter is 46 years old, he doesn't just come back to fight a top fighter because he just wants to fight a top fighter. When he's going through that, that's what's brought him to that place in the first place. And that is having what we call bandwidth extension. He's totally scattered his brain and lost so much money over the course of time. And the same thing that happens when you get a paycheck and you start spending, and because you get shiny object syndrome, you want to get the new watch, you want to get the new gear, you want to eat at the restaurant, you want to go spend money. That's shiny object syndrome. And you can't get it under control the same way that Manny Pacquiao did. He couldn't get things under control. So therein lies the situation where all of that money that he's made, hundreds of millions of dollars, just burnt. And now you got to fight. But if you really stop focusing on the symptom and start concentrating on the root of this thing, and the root of this thing is bandwidth, shiny object syndrome, trying to be so relevant in so many different scenarios. You want to train, you want to run this other business, you want to do this, you got this great idea. And it all boils down to the term that I use all the time, and that's compensatory control, laser focus. Get one idea, follow through with that idea. You got to have a plan in order to do it. And that's how you get to from here to here. That's when you're 46, you don't have to fight anymore. And that is my message today. Just understand why you're scattered. Understand why you can't get anything going all the way through. You can never finish that thought process and execute the plan, and therefore you continue to find yourself in a situation where you're desperate. You're trying to find a way to get back to where you were, which is even. But if you stay locked in and concentrate on the compensatory control factor of your life, which is doing everything that you think of every single day the exact same way, and I take 1 minute and go to that playlist.
However, Pacquiao has firmly denied that money is the reason behind his return. He's long been known not just as a fighter, but as a generous humanitarian funding hospitals, supporting disaster relief, and giving back to communities in the Philippines. Manny often says he fights for his people, not for profit. According to him, this comeback is driven by passion, legacy, and a desire to inspire. He wants to prove that age is just a number when the heart is still strong. For Pacquiao, it's about showing himself and the world that true greatness doesn't fade. Now, with the Barrios fight behind him, the focus has shifted to who he'll face.
When I became a world champion, then I realized that this is the time that I can help my family. Before that, we don't have food to eat in one day. We just drink a lot of water to survive. And I remember one time, my young brother is 5 years old back then, and he was crying like in the afternoon, 1:30 in the afternoon. He's crying because he's hungry. He's asking for food. We don't eat breakfast. We don't eat lunch. He don't understand what is. When you're telling him no money, we have no money to buy food, and he's crying like, "Mom, I'm hungry." Like he's crying, and I look to my mom and look at his eyes, and it's the tear flow in his eyes, and then I feel so sad, and like, of course I'm crying also because hungry. We drink water just to survive. That's our past, so that's why I always told them that, Manny Pacquiao is Manny Pacquiao, but I don't have the right to become arrogant, to become boastful. I want to stay humble because we've been there. We came from nothing.
Rolly Romero has emerged as a leading contender, especially after training footage surfaced showing him already gearing up for the possible showdown. His camp seems excited about the matchup, and Romero himself has said it would be an honor to share the ring with a legend like Manny Pacquiao. At the same time, names like Javona Davis
No. Tira los golpes largos, men. Porque si da paso ya te pega mucho. No, quédate atrás, men. No te quedas ahí. Quédate ahí parado ahí donde tú estabas.
Boxing Doctor News, Manny Pacquiao's next potential opponent is Rolly Romero, the WBA welterweight champ. Romero is under the same promotion, has the belt, and can sell a fight. He's eager to face Pacquiao, saying, "A Hall of Famer on my resume. Who wouldn't want that?" After Pacquiao's draw with Barrios, his advisor sees Romero as the favorite for Manny's next bout. Romero has knockout power and isn't afraid to bring the heat. Is this the explosive matchup fans have been waiting for?
Some fans still hope for a rematch between Floyd Mayweather and Manny Pacquiao, convinced that Floyd would come out on top again. But what many forget is that Mayweather is not only older than Pacquiao, he's also been far less active. He hasn't faced real competition in years, focusing instead on low-risk, high-reward exhibition bouts. A fight with today's Pacquiao wouldn't be anything like their 2015 clash. Back then, Floyd fought a Manny recovering from a shoulder injury and out of rhythm. Now, he'd be up against a faster, sharper,
and we will see what transpires, but all these people out here saying that the fight was fixed, a lot of these people were not fans of Manny Pacquiao. When that whole Floyd Mayweather, Manny Pacquiao situation was going on with the steroids allegation, the needles, and the back and forth between the Pac-Tars, as they called them back in the day, and the Mayweather fans, a lot of those fans still hold grudges towards Manny Pacquiao. I guarantee if that was Mayweather that was fighting Mario Barrios coming into that fight after a long layoff, all them people would have said Mayweather had a chance, Mayweather gonna win, become champion once again. Mayweather's levels above Mario Barrios even at that age, and Mayweather's actually older than Pacquiao. But those same people wasn't giving Pacquiao no chance to defeat an average fighter in Mario Barrios, and that's what I base my pick on. That Mario Barrios is average. Some people that's Tank Davis fans, they want to blow up Mario Barrios into something that he really ain't. Because really before the Tank fight, we talking about Mario Barrios right now. Before the Tank fight, he took on a guy by the name of Ahmad Daliev. He lost that fight. and he took a beating from that fight. And Mario Barrios really ain't never been the same from that fight. Go back and watch that fight. That was the fight before the Tank fight. Now, a lot of people say, well, he was looking good in the Tank fight. He was winning early in the Tank fight. That was a fact of Tank going up in weight, fighting a much bigger guy on fight night. Look at the difference in size. Not only just, we ain't just looking at the height, but just, he was just a much bigger guy.
Respected boxing analysts have strongly supported the view that Pacquiao did more than enough to earn the win against Barrios. Throughout the fight, Manny was the clear aggressor, setting the pace, pressing forward, and keeping the action alive. In contrast, Barrios looked passive for long stretches, often circling or standing still without mounting any meaningful offense. Analysts who reviewed the fight round by round noted several instances where rounds seemed unfairly awarded to Barrios. Despite his low output, Pacquiao's ring control, high volume, and ability to dictate the tempo told a very different story.
With the draw,
No.
because like
Weird rounds, hard to score.
Pacquiao did better than I thought he did, and that's like we get into that weird territory in boxing where you start grading on a curve. That's not how boxing works. And I was like, oh, Pacquiao's doing better. He's probably winning. Oh, he won, but no, he probably didn't. And a draw is he's probably lucky to get a draw.
Yeah, as I was watching it and scoring it, and I was in the live chat with people, and there was just so many rabid Pacquiao fans that were like, every time he did anything, first of all, anytime he did anything in the arena, the place went absolutely bonkers. Like it was going to tear down. Honestly, he probably fought 50 to 60 seconds a round. He did not do much. He didn't need to, because Barrios didn't step on the gas pedal at all at any point. He was so listless and just kind of like ho-humming through it. So Pacquiao was able to steal moments, and he did a really good job of stealing the end of rounds and making an exclamation point. And also, we saw flashes of the Manny of old when he would have that little like the flourishing signature in the end of something. He'd make that little movement, bang, he'd pop that left hand, he'd fly out, boom, 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 boom. He'd make those little moves, he'd do the fancy feet, and you would be like, but really nothing happened. He didn't land a lot of punches. Like it wasn't like anything really effective. But it got everybody emotional. It got everybody, and whereas Barrios was the exact opposite. Everything he did was so workmanlike. He has zero charisma. He has no sell on anything he does. He just lacked passion. I know he's Aztec warrior, but where was the passion? Where was the exchanging? Where was the biting down on my mouthpiece and going for it? So there was a lot of opportunities based on how both guys fought for Manny to actually steal rounds, because Mario wasn't selling it. Pacquiao was. The crowd was behind him. But yes, when you do it, you're looking at it almost like you're almost comparing Pacquiao to Pacquiao. You're being like, oh, he fought really good for a 46-year-old. He didn't fight really good for a 12-round main event champion. He fought really good for a 46-year-old Pacquiao. So you get that idea in your head like, oh man, he's doing so good. But is he really? Or are you just voting for the guy that you like better?
Like nostalgia is a hell of a joke, and we were all high on Saturday night.
What stood out most to fans and critics was the conviction Pacquiao brought into the ring. There was no hesitation or doubt, just complete confidence in his skills. He moved with purpose, threw punches with authority, and controlled the distance. Like a true veteran, at no point did he seem like a fighter chasing past glory. Instead, he looked like a man on a mission, as if he still had something to prove. Sadly, that effort wasn't fully reflected on the scorecards. While he clearly earned the respect of the crowd, the judges didn't reward what many saw as a bold, competitive.
The most surprising result from last night was 46-year-old Manny Pacquiao going 12 rounds and drawing against the WBC champion. And the craziest part of all of it might be that Manny Pacquiao might have been robbed. I genuinely think that Manny Pacquiao might have won the fight. He looked great. He looked sharp, especially for being a 46-year-old. And this is why I told you guys that Manny Pacquiao's mentality is different. His passion for boxing is unmatched. This is why he's one of the GOATs. From what we saw, we can see that he really put in a lot of work, because in his last fight, I believe it was 5 years ago, he didn't look good. He looked slow. He looked like a 46-year-old, well, a 40-year-old, because he was 40 years old back then. But he didn't look good, but he looked great. I feel if the rematch happens against Mayweather, which would honestly be an amazing fight, because they're both old now, so they don't have any excuse of being like, oh, this guy's past his prime. They're both past their prime. They're both old. But if it happens, I think Manny Pacquiao wins. Floyd Mayweather hasn't fought, and he doesn't have the same amount of passion. He fought Logan Paul and Deji, but this guy fought an actual WBC champion and looked great and could have possibly beat him. He said he's not going to stop boxing, and he honestly has no reason why to stop. Now, obviously, I don't think he's like a top 10 boxer right now, or like currently, whatever, but he can hold his own. If he went against someone like Gervonta Davis, yes, he'd get murdered. But there's a lot of fighters that he can go toe-to-toe with right now. I don't know, though. Fall for Sport content, we're about to hit 1,000.